All right, this is Mitch for Indigenous Insights, Eagle Radio's weekly Keweenaw Bay radio program. From the KBIC Tribal Council and the KBIC Tribal Police Department, we have Council Member, Sergeant, and K-9 Handler Ev Ekdahl Jr. Ev, welcome back to the studio.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first of all, give us some basics, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you began your career.
I grew up, born and raised here in Baraga, graduated from Baraga High School. Tried my hand at college, didn't work out. I was working at the Pines Convenience Center for roughly a year. And Captain Dale Goodrow now approached me and told me I should apply for a conservation position that was coming up that the KBIC got a grant for. So I applied for that, received that position in 2004. Started out doing conservation for roughly 6 or 7 years. And then once the grant was over, we started to incorporate with the police department, and I moved into the school resource officer, where I went into Baraga and launched schools and taught the TEAM program, which is teaching, educating, and mentoring. That was put on by the Michigan State Police, where I went down to Lansing for a week and learned how to present to children and present their curriculum. So I taught that program for roughly another 3 or 4 years in the schools. And then Baraga Village Chief, now Irv Smith, moved on to the Baraga Village Police Department, and that left a void in our canine handler position, and it was just sitting there. And I approached Chief Miranda Forshaw at the time and told her I'd be interested in taking the canine handler position. She went above and made sure anybody above me didn't want the canine, and then I got all the paperwork together, got a hold of Northern Michigan Canine, where we get our dogs from down in Clare, Michigan. Got the dog ready, got my proposal ready for council, presented at the council, got voted, got approved, and from there went down and received my first canine, Eddie. We worked together for 6 years. All our dogs are multi-purpose dogs, so which means they search for drugs, they search for people, they search for articles like keys, any of that, they can find that. So I worked with Eddie for 6 years, and then the big trend right now, weed got legalized, which for probable cause reasons, I retired my first dog, Eddie, who now lives with Chairman Blaker and is enjoying his retirement up on the Baraga Plains Road. Then we got a grant through housing, and I went back down to Northern Michigan Canine and got our second canine, Tank, who sadly passed away with a tumor within 8 months, which was very unfortunate. Went back down to Northern Michigan Canine again, and now have the community's Canine Savage, who's been doing a lot of good work around here. And been a police sergeant now for coming on 6 or 7 years. Started out with corporal, and then people retiring, all that. Got my position as sergeant, and that's where I'm sitting right now as police sergeant and canine handler.
As a tribal police officer, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in ensuring the safety and security of the community?
Right, it's the community, right? So it's making sure we got enough guys with boots on the ground, which right now we're short, but we do our best as a police department to, make sure we have enough officers, at least somebody on duty to make sure our community is safe, the patrols, running radar, making sure nobody's driving crazy, anything like that, and then responding to any calls that come up, and with a professional stance going in and de-escalating any situation that may need to be, or just simply just talking to somebody that needs to be talked down or just needs to be talked to.
All right, and so this is your first term as a tribal council member. How has that been balancing your roles as a police officer and a council member?
Well, it's kind of like having a newborn baby. I work a night shift right now. I don't get much sleep, but you know what? I'm enjoying my new role as council member, learning a lot of new things. The council right now is awesome. It seems like we're moving along great, and I'm loving every minute of it right now.
So as you mentioned, you are part of the K9 unit. Can you explain a little bit about that organization you mentioned in Marquette, and then also what did you have to do to achieve that?
Well, so what you do, so it's down in Clare, Michigan. We go down for a month, and when we get down there, our dogs are ready to go. They're trained in all the specific fields, like I said, drugs. So now Savage, he's certified in searching for all the hard drugs. Marijuana, he can go right by marijuana. He don't care about it. It's not his thing. So at the end of the day, when they're searching for something, they're searching for their toy. In the dog's head, When he hits that odor wherever it's at, like when we're training where I hide it, it's not right in plain sight. It's not right on a desk. I got it hid behind a door. I got it hid in a car. And that odor he associates with his Kong, so the little rubber Kong toys.
Yeah.
And when he gets that odor in his nose, he's bink, it's game time. I'm about to get my toy. He sits and he waits and he just stares at the position where that drug is hidden. And then what I do is I pay him, and then we just have a big party. I pet him up, tell him good boy, and then he just gets after his toy. We take it out and then we move on. And the way these dogs are it's prey driven, just like
okay.
They're looking for it because they're chewing on that. They're looking for their prey basically, just like, like them naturally, their natural ability is to chase animals.
Tapping into those primal instincts.
Yep, the primal instincts. But, whoever phenomenally did that with dogs and linked into that that's what they're doing, is just hunting all the time. And it's amazing to watch. Savage right now is an unbelievable dog. And I'm biased to my first dog, but man, Savage is coming up as a strong top dog right now.
So did you have to get a special certification or something for this?
Yeah, right now Savage is certified through Northern Michigan Canine, and he's got a couple national certifications through Sergio. I don't know his last name. He's coming out of Mexico, and he's about to take over the Northern Michigan Canine, where we get our dogs from. So he has national. He has 3 certifications right now, and will probably be also adding another for certification. So he'll have 4 certifications. NAPICH, National Association of Professional Canine Handlers, is another one I'll get Savage certified in. So every year when we recertify, this month I'm actually going to his first recertification with Savage, and he'll recertify in his 3 certifications he has, and then I'll get back into working on a NAPICH certification, which is a little different. They have different protocols than what I do when I'm down in Clare. So he'll go down and at NAPICH and certify in there. They have like 4 or 5 curriculum too that he has to certify in, and then we'll have 4 certifications with Savage. Okay. And basically you do for that they set up a room that there's a couple hides. They're unknown hides, which that's what it should be. You go in, your dog has to find them, and then they'll do blank rooms. So if your dog alerts in a blank room, that's a fail. Basically, they just want to see your dog work and make sure he can find what he needs to find for your certifications. Then there's a track certification where you go out and you find somebody. And then for NAPICH, there's the bite certification, which your dog has to be able to bite, let go, come back to you. And then they'll do one where you send your dog and there's gunshots and your dog has to keep going, interact with the suspect, let go, get him back. You have to be able to let him go, recall, which means I say no, telling him no, and he has to stop and he has to get down and wait for me. And then come call him back. And then he'll be certified through NAPICH and the bite recertification. And I think, and then article, really they just throw an article out and, throw a few articles out and make sure your dog can go find each article. And once your dog does that, he's certified. And I have no reserves. My dog's just going to nail all that.
Yes, I was asking what you needed to do to get certified, but you and the dog both have to do these different things.
At the end of the day, for the certification, it's the dog.
Yeah.
I'm just the dummy at the end of the leash that just watches him go. I just make sure. So what I'm looking for is his change of behavior. If I see him change his behavior, I know that there's an odor there that he's in, and I need to pay attention to that. I'll let him keep going, because I'm not going to point it out on a wall like, oh, hey, check back here again. Go up to this wall and say, hey, check here again. I want him to be the one who finds it. I see. So the test is for him. It's not for me. You know what I mean? So the certifications are for your dog. Yes, I'm certified, but I'm not really certified. It's the dog.
Yeah.
I just have to be able to recognize that. And so the month training you would on when you first get a dog is how you learn how to read your dog. The instructor tells you, did you see that? Did you see his change? Did you see a simple head snap on a dog? Them are things you look at your dog, and that's what you're going off of as a handler. Like, okay, I'm going to go back to that with the dog. So that's how we do that.
More additional questions. I can't help myself.
That's all right. I'm good with it.
So once your dog gets certified, is it individualized towards you? Are you the only handler possible, or is that dog then certified where it could possibly take lead from another handler if the situation arose? Like, is that?
It's going to happen, yes, with me and Savage. Officer Alden Connor will eventually be taking over Savage here shortly,
Okay.
a year or two, maybe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yes, I mean, when you got a good dog, it don't matter who's at the end of the leash. If he hears the word, I mean, he has a command for each thing. He has a command to search for drugs. He has a command to track. He has a command to search for articles, and he has a command to protect officers. I don't like to say bite, but to protect officers or protect the public even.
Yeah.
So he has the command for each of them. That's all he needs to do in his head is hear that, and he's going to work.
And those are universal words used throughout the system.
Yeah, and any officer, I found out, any officer can use any word they want. At the end of the day, you could use, a lot of officers say search for dope, or then there's foreign dogs, so then they have that language, and then you use that. My first dog Eddie was from Slovakia, and I had to learn them, and them were tongue twisters. And I ended up, these dogs are so good, I ended up switching a lot of Eddie's commands, except for his working commands, to English. So I taught him all his basic obedience back in the English sit, had him in my hip. So I'd just say hip, down, off, simple things, because that Slovakian language is a tongue twister.
You had a bilingual dog.
Yeah, sure do.
All right, so can you describe a particularly memorable or challenging experience you've had on the job and how you handled it?
Well, for me, everything's with my canine now. I've been at it for 8 years, so everything's with my canine. For example, so with Eddie, it was the first car we searched, and he alerted, which means telling me there's drugs in the car, and then there's the one where Eddie found money in a purse where somebody was dealing drugs, and he hit on that money, and we had the person that was leaving town that just dropped a bunch of drugs, but we ended up getting all their money. There was that, and then there's where we have somebody who wasn't well at a hospital, took off from the hospital. Eddie went out, tracked him, found him. A lot of my memories are for Eddie. Like I said, we're a year in. Savage has got some searches and stuff in him, and he's starting to build up his stat sheet. But with a lot of my examples are from Eddie. My second dog, Tank, we only had like one or two things, unfortunately. But a lot of my memories are from Eddie, and things we've done throughout the career. I mean, and then it was just I associate it with watching your kid play football and him, making awesome play, or your kid making his first bucket. And it's a replay for me that every time I see him alert, it's like that in my head, and it's like that for him every time, And
it's kind of amazing because they have those extra senses that we just can't pick up on.
Right.
So it's just magic.
And exactly, at the end of the day, if somebody asked me how do they do it, like if I had a nose like that, I'd be able to tell you, but I don't have a nose like that, and I just know through his training that that's what he's good at. And now I've been at it for 8 years, and I just know how to read a dog better. When you first start, it's a lot of nerves, but I was actually learned a lot from Brian down at Northern Michigan Canine. But then I went down to the Marquette Police Department, and at the time was Marty Munger and Todd Collins, who taught me a lot and helped me dial in and become a better handler for our department.
Okay, and then now here's a chance to address the community. As a tribal police officer, what are some things that you want the community to know about your job, or what are some frequently asked questions that you can kind of give answers to here today?
Well, our job's not easy. We're always the one that goes into somebody's house at a bad time, right? So most times when we come, somebody's either in distress, somebody's having a bad day, just to put it nicely, right? So we always got to come in and either be the bad person or try talking someone down and be a professional and just have them come down from a level where they're at, where they don't want to be. Sometimes they're under the influence of something. Sometimes it's a mental issue. Around here, that's a lot of the things that are happening with mental issues, and it's happening, nationwide. It just isn't here, but here it just seems like it's heavy because we got such a small community and we know everybody. But right now that's huge in our community, and the drug use, it's hard. Like I said, my dog's busy. We were searching cars the other day, all day. And just to be cognizant about that, want people to be careful where they're at, what they're doing, paying attention, and just the little things, because the drugs now that are coming in are really bad. And if you rub them, if you see something that you don't know what it is and you think it might be bad, don't pick it up, because it potentially could drop you right there.
All right. Thank you very much for being here today, and thank you for doing what you do.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.